You had a fruitful day.
I'm trying, eh?
Why are
Okay,
you
like
trying, ma'am?
Yeah, th- there's a lot happening in my space.
Okay.
I might even move to Cape Town before the end of the year. So
yeah,
yeah. Mm.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that's why you've been on the road lately.
Hey, yeah,
Don't worry, we'll come
but
visit
all
you.
good. No problem.
Okay, no, thank you very much, guys. I'll just recap few things here so that I'll continue where I left off last week. As I've said, I will again revisit your financial structures to be able to see where are we, and then how can we strategize every move to make sure that we are on the right pace. So I spoke about the 5 areas of financial planning that when we do planning regarding your finances, we focus on. And we spoke about checking your present financial position, where we check assets against liabilities is a balancing of the two. Is just this same principle, it is also applied when you're in business, balancing the assets and the liabilities, because most of the time in business, when you start, you discover that you don't have assets, but later on the business itself become an asset and then you grow. So there are issues of borrowing, obvious. Most of these businesses that are running, we have debt. So then we balance this thing. So it's the question of what's coming in and what's going out. And then you have a proper structure for that. So same thing when it comes to personal finance, you have to have a proper structure of how much is coming in, how much is going out, and where do I spend most, how do I adjust, and then you have to make sure that later on the asset column becomes bigger than the liability column. And then also spoke about the protection plan, which is I think is the last point where I have posted last week, where we're checking at how can you protect what you have already built and the things that you still want to build. Because if you build without a protection plan, you're likely to fall again. And yeah, it's yesterday. I was passing a certain household closer by my mother's house. So that family, like that family, those guys, they were very rich. They were not wealthy, they were rich. So they also had some businesses in Soweto. Like those were top families back in the days. So because they've never had what they called a transfer plan, because even if you are building, you must have a transfer plan on how you're going to pass down what you are building to the next generation. And what I've noticed about us as Black people, most of the time we focus on the tangible resources like the assets and the money that we need to have so that our kids, when we pass on, they'll have something. But everything that we possess, it comes with a certain weight that requires a certain capacity to carry. So if I'm not equipped to carry such a burden, I'm going to destroy or I'm going to fall with that thing. Um, just a simple thing. One can say if I can have 2 million, I can do one, two, three, four, and five. It's easier to think of this in theory, but practically once 2 million hits your own bank account, that's where you also start to realize some of the things that you didn't know about yourself. That's where you start to realize some of the shortfalls that you have never dealt with. That's where you start to realize some of the brokenness that you have never also dealt with. Because money exposes not only one area of your life, but exposes many areas of our lives. So even if when it comes to protection plan, I'm going to explain more when we dive in stuff like your life cover, and also we dive in stuff like building a trust. Um, there is this family. I'm also going to share about these families that most like these are the most famous families in history that you have learned about. What happened to the first family that were billionaires and then they are poor, and what happened to this generation of a family that even today they are still wealthy. So it's also one of the major issues that we have not yet dealt with, especially as blacks. And I think one of the reasons is not only failing to prepare the ones who are going to take over, but also the state in which we are coming from. We are coming from a broken history that sometimes we are still wounded to feel like everything must be given to our children without the capacity to work for it. So we still have to deal with those psychological issues also at the other hand. So there is a lot that we need to prepare when it comes to this subject of protection plan. Though I didn't include those things, I know that if I included them, we will be like stuck here for months. So I'm going to edit that subject as we go and as we go. So it's so critical, and there is this strategy which I've learned from this family. So what they do in this family, because they build a trust and everything that they have as a family is contributed to a trust. So the first thing that they did in that family, it's though it's their belief. I'm not saying everyone must go to what they built, but some of the things I really admire them. So they say there is always a capital for you in the family trust. But for you to access the capital in the family trust, number one, you have to access it in a sense of a loan. Like there are billions in the family trust because that family have their own bank. So there are billions in that account. So for you as a family member to access that money, you have to access it in a form of a loan with less interest. And then there must be something that has to do with business in order for you to access it. I can't go there and say, guys, I need 2 million. I want to buy the latest Vitlas. I won't be able to access that. But I can go there and say, guys, I need 50 million. I need to start this X business. And then you will definitely have access to the family finances, and then you get the 50 million in the form of a loan. And then when you build a business, the business must pay back that money again to the family bank. So, and then again, these guys, what they do before you access before you access that like that amount in the family bank, you also need to have your own life cover. So your life cover, when you die, it doesn't go direct to anyone. It goes direct to the family bank. So the basic needs, like the monthly necessities, they make sure that there is a certain cash flow that also flows to take care of everyone. So, but you also have access to access the money at any time to start the business. So these guys, I think now they are in their I think seventh or eighth generation. They are still the wealthiest family globally. So they are so influential. Most of the things that you see today, even here in our country, like schooling system, it was built by them. Even today is controlled by them. Most of the things that you see in the US is controlled by them. They are so influential. Like they are the wealthiest family. And you look at them from one generation to another generation, and they said 90% of those family members, they are billionaires because they have structured it. But at the other hand, you also have me, maybe I'm having my two kids. Everything is prepared. When I die, they receive all the funds from my life cover. They have access to my businesses. They start to squander everything, and then they give birth to their own children. Their own children will only see the pictures that there was a grandfather who was so great. The parents, they've mismanaged everything. Then they go back to the same cycle of poverty. So even if you work hard currently and build whatever building, you still need a proper strategy in terms of passing it down and also protecting it. Because one of the things that these guys, they are so clever with, is that their voice will still be valid even when they're in the graves, because if they use these stuffs like family trust and then they build it right, whatever legislation that is going to be legislated regarding the funds is going to be controlled by the decision of the one who have already passed on. So we need also to be strategical about this, because yesterday when I passed that household, I felt like, this is a proper disaster. Like they have left even the house, that modern house that the parents built, has been destroyed. Like it's so crazy. You don't even believe it when they say this was one of the richest family around here. They have everything, but today is just a mess. The guy who was left with everything, he's just a person who's a victim of alcohol. you won't even, you'll only hear that there is something about this guy when you engage, because intellectually he's still right, but alcohol has taken its best in him. It's like it's something else, like, guys, it's something else. So these are the things that sometimes that's why you find other black people will say, I won't bother to work so hard to build something for my children because they will squander it. But you need to have a proper plan also in terms of how you're going to protect it. So it's something which I'll have to deal with in later stages as we go on. How can now we prepare this generation, and how can we pass it down? Hence, we need to make sure that our kids are also involved in simple basics, guys. Mina, I was introduced to simple basics of finance at the age of 13. So at the age of 13, my mother will give me responsibilities every month to say, take this money, you'll do this and this, or hold this money. Whenever there is a need, I'm gonna go there and give them the money, write it down that I had this X amount, I'm left with this X amount. I know the grocery that with every month then we need to buy 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, we're running out of this. And for every plan that she was planning to do, we'll sit down and communicate and say, maybe I wanna renovate the house or wanna extend the house. You sit down and you communicate, you plan and say, what are your thoughts about this? And I was still young to say, but why is it that whenever she wants to make a decision, we have to sit down? But she was preparing me for such things, and then we'll sit down and talk about many things to say, okay, this is the decision which I'm taking. I'm gonna take a loan, and then to achieve this, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. But up until I become so mature to the point where if she wanna make a decision, if she says she's going to do, I'll say no, not in this way. We're going to do it in this way. So this we have to cancel it. This we have to cover it. But it started at that young age when I was given responsibilities as a young person, and even neighbors they started to trust me to come in to say, okay, hold this amount for us, and then whenever they want it, I'll give it to them. And then the family is a large, because on my mother's side, it's a big family. It's a big one. So from my mother's side, I am the one who's in charge of the whole family, the whole like the whole household. I'm the one who's in charge of the finances even today. So if there is something, if there's a ceremony or whatever it might be, I'm the one who's in charge of finances in terms of, okay, we have a funeral, how do you go around everything? And then I'm the one managing it, and then there are contributions that are also are being made, even if there's nothing. So, but it started at an early age to develop such capacity. So even now, when I'm working with people, the last thing that can tempt me is money. Money, I cannot be tempted by money, because I've been working around money. Maybe if you can give me 1 billion, I can be tempted, because I've never had such experience of 1 billion. But I've been working around with these things. But it started as like a simple responsibility. So make sure, guys, those small stuffs in the household, make sure that when you do monthly groceries, these guys, they're involved. When you go to the shops, they're involved. You allow them to learn, okay, write this and do this, and then you go and do everything with them. You are preparing them to be responsible, and you're also introducing them to the world of spending and the world of being responsible in the world of right management. So now, coming again to the third part of the 5 areas which we focus on when we come to financial planning, it's your investment. So in terms of your investment, what we look at currently, we look at what do you have in terms of investment. What do you have? Whether you have some holdings in the banks that have invested, or in the money market, whether you have some properties in which you have invested in, or any business that you have invested in. So anything that you have invested in, it is money working for you. So in terms of investment, the game is all about buying time, so that you'll free yourself from this rotation of not having the freedom to spend time the way you want it and to live your life the way you want it. because the more you invest in valuable assets and in valuable businesses, is the more you are going to have the freedom to say no to most of the things. Because there is nothing as painful as waking up in the morning, going to a certain space where you know that I'm only there because of money. If it was not for money, I will not be there, because everything about that space is toxic. So there are some space where you discover that you don't go to work because you really need to go to work. You go to work because you are forced by circumstances, and you know exactly that I can't afford to exit that space, because I'll still need that income in order for me to cover the monthly expenses. So you'll continue to go there even if it's toxic. You'll continue to go there even if it's something that you don't like. So buying the freedoms gives you the space also to live the life that you want and also do the things that you love. So I can choose a career not necessarily because of money. I can choose a career because I love that career. I can choose to pursue a certain call because I love that call, not because I'm forced one man. That is because now I have the freedom to choose. But a person without options does not have, the person without options does not have choices. Your choice is limited to whatever is on the table. So we look at what we have in terms of investment, and also we balance the reality of where you are and where you are going. In terms of where you are going, we look at things like how many years left for you before you go to retirement, and then what is it that is tangible in terms of helping you to live a certain life that you want to opt for when you go to retirement. As I given an example last week, that there are people who are living in the estates, and then to sustain such a life and also the responsibilities that are there, you will still need to have an active income, a passive income, which is going to take care of all the liabilities which you are having. Because if you're going to depend solely on the retirement funds, you're going to struggle. I was having one of my clients today during the day, because I'm working from home. So I was explaining to her and said, the tricky part about retirement planning is this part where maybe you find yourself, you have 5 children, and then as I said, it's not the issue of them failing to go to school, because the current state of our country is something else. As I discovered that all these guys, they went to school, they graduated, but the issue is that they're not finding space to be employed. And then if they're not finding space to be employed, remember, they are growing. It might happen that maybe out of the 5, 3 are having their own kids. And then if these 3 are having their own kids, you still have to take care of them. And you discover that now you are in retirement, you are taking care of 8 people. And then these new 3, they will still have to start a school. So you still have to pay for their fees and other things. I said, that's the tricky part about it. So now that's why now you have to think beyond just having maybe good money in terms of your retirement. You also need to find this thing like this one is so crazy. When it comes to wealth building, if your mind is only on making money, you are at the lower level of the ladder. Because yes, you can make money and good money. That's great. But there are some levels of wealth that has nothing to do with money, but has to do with the value that is above money. And one of the values that is above money is authentic relationships. So authentic relationships is this. It's me and you. We have been together for a very long time. Like, it's not that thing of say, it's my man, it's my man. We just meet at the corner and just have drinks. I'm talking about genuine relationships. We have built that relationship. And then here I am. My child is graduated. And then you have your own space where you are running your own business, a big company. I have this guy is a friend of mine. He's also stay closer to my mother's house. I think that guy is a billionaire. I maybe don't want to disclose it because part of his wealth has already been transferred to Switzerland. So we engage, and he always tell me about his projects and next move. And I think of it and say, if I want something from him, it's easier for me to go to say, hey, bro, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from you. So the exchange here, because I don't know if you see the picture which I'm painting, guys. The exchange between me and him, it has nothing to do with cash. The value here, the value of exchange is the relationship. So there are spaces where the value of the exchange will be the liquid money. We exchange money. I give you a service, you give me money. That's the lowest level of this ladder. So at this point, it's a trade. We trade within the relationship. So the disposal cost there is the relationship. Like, because we are having a relationship, it's easier for a transaction to happen without any exchange of money. I said, hey, bro, please hire my daughter there, because my daughter, she needs the experience. But currently on our space, we don't have something that is similar to what you are studying. So because you have this in your own space, and then my daughter will come there, and then I just put here as a project manager. You see, I also have a room to negotiate. But if there is no relationship between me and him, it means we have to go from the space of coming with a CV, no room to negotiate. So hence you have to understand that when it comes to this game of wealth building, you have to look beyond the liquid cash. And that's the thing that sometimes it consumes our mind. Like, it consumes our mind, and like, you always think of, okay, cash, but you build beyond that. You build beyond that. So you have now to structure your things right. There are some things which will have to move beyond cash. And let me subject this before I go to 3.B. There are some relationships that you need to build and grow, that they need to outlast you, that even if you are buried, they still speak on your behalf. I want to give an example. I don't know, guys. Okay, I'm from a faith background, so I want to give an example, that a simple example that I understand from the scriptures. So bear with me if you are not from the same background. So there is this folk called David. He passed away. He died, and then he had a child called Solomon. We have to take over of the empire. So the guy called David had a vision, because even the vision that you are having is not something that you have to fulfill. I mean, to do and achieve it in the days that are given under the sun. Your vision must surpass the days that are given under the sun, so that when you are no more, there is a generation which is going to take over. So if your vision is equal to the days that you're having here on earth, it's a wrong vision. A proper vision must surpass the days which we are given here on earth. That when you die, there is a part of that project, there is a part of that work that is unfinished. And I'm not talking about being irresponsible. I'm talking about shifting in dimensions. So this folk called David, he passed on, but he had a mission to build the temple. And then because he didn't get the access to build the temple, his child has to take over and build the temple. So what his son did, when he took over, he wrote a letter to a certain folk who was a wealthy folk in that history of the Bible. He wrote a letter and said, you know, my father had a desire to build a temple, but because he was surrounded by many fights, he never had the chance to build the temple. So now I'm writing to you to request that I find favor with you, that you supply me with materials that I'm going to build this temple. And that folk says, okay, it's fine. Me and your father, we had a good relationship, and I'm going to supply you more than what you have requested. So you see, the trading here, it has nothing to do with cash. It has to do with the relationship that this other folk who passed on has built. So out of the relation, I don't know, guys. I'm going to explain this part more on Sunday, or there's a certain rule which I want to introduce on Sunday. So, out of the relationships, I don't know how many relationships you are currently having. Out of relationships which you are having currently, please make sure that there are some relationships that you are sure that these ones will surpass me. I mean, it will go beyond the grave. Even if I'm no longer on the side of the living, this relationship will still be effective and be influential in the life of my kids, because you are not just a sole individual. Your kids are part of your destiny. So you need to make sure that in all the tradings that you're doing, you build authentic and genuine relationship in a space where authenticity is just a difficult thing. Okay. I see a hand, ma'am, being raised there. Yeah, you can ask a question.
Yeah, I can actually attest to what you are saying in when it comes to relationships and friends. So I have a friend that I've known for a while, and there was a time that I needed 200,000 rand. At the time, he never had a problem of giving me the money at all.
Yes.
So because the money I was going to put it into construction, and they took long to pay back the money. So when I went to him, or when I got the money back from the construction and I paid him, and I was telling him that, I was feeling bad that I did not give the money back on time. He said our relationship goes beyond this money thing. So yeah, I can attest to what you are saying. That's the
That's
point
that's
I wanted to make.
that's really powerful. And I think these are the kind of engagements that we need to normalize in our cycles, because I think it took time for you guys to reach such a level where there is freedom to say, I can trust you with this X amount without worrying about anything. And if it was on the case where you had to borrow me, you'll have to be worried about the money now and then, because you don't have that kind of a relationship. So it's something that we need to think of and to work around, because investment, guys, goes beyond just having the liquid cash there and there, and having some maybe businesses and some properties there and there. It goes beyond that. We need to build authentic relationship. So in terms of 3.B, we look at how your investment is structured. So the reason why we look at how your investment is structured, the structure of your investment must match the reality of where you say you are going, because all of us, we had a certain ideal place that we are going to. So the investment that you have in, like, you can't say, I'm having a certain investment with Standard Bank. It's just an example, Standard Bank, and they promise that the interest rate will be 4% annually, and now after retirement, I wanna exit the country. I'm going to live in Germany. That 4% can't save you. So the structure of your retirement should always match the reality of where you are heading. And it should be something that is practical and is based on realistic, not this idealism that sometimes people tell you, after this I'll be doing this. After, I was listening to someone, and sometimes I have this tendency of listening without even distracting a person, say, I want to start this business, and the problem, I don't have the money to start, but once I get the money, everything will definitely go well. And I was like, that's the thing. You assume when you have the money, everything will go well. Even if with that money that you're assuming that you need in the space of your business, even if you have it, there will still be another loophole that you have never thought of. So just bring this thing to reality and put it to practice, and then you will learn as you grow. And then that's you're going to discover that it takes more than just having a certain amount to start this business. A lot of things that you also have to deal with as a person. So same thing when it comes to structuring your investments. Your investment should be realistic. It should definitely match where you're heading, and it should also correspond to your responsibilities. If maybe, for an example, I will be in retirement to discover that the time I go to retirement, my daughter will be starting varsity, then part of my retirement should be tackling the needs and the responsibilities that I need to take care of when it comes to my child's education. So we have to, work around this structure to see the kind of responsibilities which are having on the table, where heading. Then the structure, if it's not right, you are going to reconstruct it. I love this strategy which they're using in engineering when they erect a building. They say when we erect a building, we make sure that the foundation matches the weight of the whole building. So everything we are going to measure it in the foundation. So the number of people who are going to be in the building, the furniture, the roofing is measured on the foundation. They said, if we don't get it right on the foundation, the whole thing will collapse. So we make sure that when we weigh everything with the weight and everything, weigh it on the foundation. So that's why the foundation becomes more expensive, because it carries the whole structure. So if the foundation is not proper, the whole thing is going to collapse. So that's why you have to make sure that you revisit your structures, and sometimes your responsibilities will definitely change. Your expectations also change. So you make sure that you revisit your so-called your structure, and no matter how it costs, don't compromise. Go there and you invest, and you go around and you work around that thing. And then in terms of point C is, how much risk are you willing to take? And here is another thing. People who are in retirement, I always tell them that, guys, you're in retirement, you are no longer having any other means of income. For you to take risk is something else. We have to deal with a lot of things when you go to this, because you will be gambling your last cent. So you also need to know your risk appetite when it comes to investment. So before you jump into any investment, you also need to study your risk appetite and also study your own reality. A person who is still in his 30s cannot have the same appetite of risk with the person who is in his 50s. Because the other one of 30s, they have more time to recover. The other one of 50s, they don't have like they don't have much time to recover. Even their resources are very much limited. That one in the 30s and 20s, they still have a lot of time. And that's where I think most of the young people, they miss it. They invest in stuffs which are useless in their 20s and 30s. And later on in their 40s, that's where they start to be serious. That's where they were supposed to be more serious, gambling everything that is right and making sure that they fail, they fall, they learn, they grow in their 20s and 30s. So I was listening to this one. TD Jackson said, your 20s and 30s, those are the years where you prepare to earn more. You use your best energy, because you have all the energy in that time. So make sure that you use that age wisely. So the last thing in terms of investment plan is, what is your philosophy? Are you a trader, a stock investor, a property investor, entrepreneur, a saver? So you choose which one you'll opt for when it comes to this, because it's not one size fit all. Others, they will go for it through stock markets. Others will go for it through property investment. Others will go as entrepreneurs. Others will just save and find other alternatives to build other streams of income. So it depends on which philosophy works for you. My philosophy, you might discover that my philosophy doesn't match your DNA. So you have your own philosophy that you studied. You don't go to that area because of excitement, but you study that thing, and then you make sure that you understand everything that goes to that direction. So the fourth thing, which is so critical, is the estate planning. And I've tried to explain it from the beginning that when you work out your wealth, you also need to work out your estate planning. So your estate planning, oh, okay, I'm already on the fifth one. Okay, it's fine. So your estate planning, that's where the estate planning, that's where you have to check about stuff like, do you have a will? So, do you have a will, an existing will that is up to date? Have you prepared for the cost? Because when you speak of settling an estate comes with some cost. Have you prepared the cost to cover your estate? Who's going to be an executor of your estate? Your keys to anyone. Because the other thing when it comes to estate planning, that sometimes it confuses me, especially when people do their estate planning. If now I'm in my 40s, I'm not the firstborn yet, or I'm not even the secondborn. If I'm in my 40s, this equation is simple. My mom will be around their 70s, their 60s. So if she's maybe on his 70s, I'm 40. Guess this, like, guess the whole just use your own conception and look at it. I pass on. She's on her 70s. The kind of work which I'm doing is complicated. My financial structure are also complex. They need a person who's able to read and a person who understands the structures. So if I say my mother will be the executor of the estate, it will be something else. It will be something else because at the other hand, she'll be working with these attorneys and she does not understand the whole process. Whatever they say yes to her because she does not understand the whole process. So your estate planning should also be something that you think hard about. Should be something that you plan around. This is something that I've observed with wealthy families. Wealthy families, they have their own family lawyers that they introduce their kids to. So it's not something that these guys they will meet when there is a matter. They meet now and then, maybe they meet 3 times or they meet 4 times annually. They talk about all the legalities and their kids are present and they are listening to the conversations. In fact, their children, they know those guys before even their parents passed on. So they are also part of the game and they are introduced early to this. So your estate planning, it depends on how far you want to take this thing of generational wealth and what is your purpose behind all these things that you are building. So you need to make sure that you have everything in order. Your estate plan, like in terms of estate planning, go and sit down with your lawyer or your advocate, and then you guys you plan everything proper. And I remember I was invited to speak in Nelspruit, the Department of Health here. Those guys, their offices there. So there was a certain advocate who was invited to speak. I had to speak after her. So the topic it was marriage and estate planning. So she jumped into the stage and then she told those guys and say, guys, make sure that when you get married out of the committee of property. And I was sitting there and said, but this one is a professional person. That's not the right way to address matters. She was supposed to sit down with those guys and explain, guys, when it comes to marriage, you have different regimes here. For example, you have a regime where you can be married in the community of property. Being married in the community of property means 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So here are the advantages of this, and here are the disadvantages of this. Same thing to the marriage outside of community of property and the other regimes. And then she said, it's up to you to choose which one you'll be comfortable with. Because now people are poisoned with that. I'm not going to be married in outside the community of property, but they don't understand the whole regime, how it's built. They don't understand. And in everything that you are having here, there is a side where you have disadvantages, there is a side where you have advantages. So people should have options to choose at, and then they will have to look at all corners and see this can work for me, this cannot work in my state. So when it comes to estate planning, you also need to have time to ask proper questions, to be given options. Don't let a person as an advocate to push you in a corner, say, do this. Ask questions, no options. And those guys, they should not be technical because when it comes to law, they also have their technicality that they are using in terms of the words and everything. And you end up being confused. You don't understand what's going on. You have to ask proper questions. You have to have options. And then it's okay also to ask another person who understand the same thing to say, what are you understanding about this, and explain to you. So your estate, it must be up to date. So if you have a will, make sure that your will is all right. But what you can also avoid, guys, avoid those bank wills. Those ones, guys, they are dangerous things. And I understand that the banks will introduce it as a free will. There is no such a thing as a free thing here on earth. And there's no such a thing as a free thing. They will always find a loophole to catch you because if the bank says they are the ones who are going to draft the will for you and it's a free will, then they'll appoint themselves as executors of your own estate. So it like that's where now when you are gone, your children are going to struggle to access what is yours and what is theirs. And then when you spend the rest of your life working and said, I'm working for my children to have something, then now they're stuck with the bank. So for me, I would say get a proper lawyer who you know, and he does understand estate planning, and then plan everything, and then be the one who's in charge of everything, and then make sure that your estate makes a good sense. It makes a good sense, and then you avoid the issues of putting minor beneficiaries in terms of your estate, because minor beneficiaries, if it happens that you pass on and then your estate it has a minor beneficiary, they can't access it. They have to take that thing to the master, and then the master have to keep it up until your child reach a certain age where they say this person is qualified for him or her to access the funds in the estate. But there are charges of administration in terms of running the whole thing. So the master will charge you, and then there are other costs which are involved when it comes to estate planning. So please make sure that when it comes to estate planning, everything is planned rightly. Go to your attorney, go to your lawyer, and then you guys you sit down and plan everything, and then you make sure that your kids they also know about your estate, and then you keep the original you keep the original will, because the master does not entertain anything of a photocopy. You keep the original, and then there must be someone, it's either your kids or whoever it might be, who knows where the original copy is, because they'll definitely need the original copy if something happens to you. So the last part is the part of retirement, which is a long subject that I'm also going to take care here. So when it comes to retirement, the questions that we look at is, do I have enough to maintain my current lifestyle and do the things I want in retirement? So this question will be answered um, by your current balance in terms of your retirement. Number two, have I paid off my bills or my debts? Because it's not healthy to go to retirement with debts. And then the third thing is, do I have enough to pay for medical bills that are higher than the average inflation? Because when you go to retirement, your the medical aid becomes so expensive compared to now. And government employees that they are enjoying the benefits of government, but when they go to retirement, they are now responsible for their medical aid. And maybe they will change the policy to say even in retirement, they will continue to take off a certain percentage of your medical aid. But other than that, you need to make sure that you are prepared for such. And then this one is the hardest question that you have to answer is, how much will be enough for you? So the how much will be enough for you, I'm gonna show you the what's it called, the scaling on how do you answer this, because one can say 2 million will be enough for me, but the question, how do you scale that 2 million will be enough for you? Because there are a lot of factors which you need to factor with. So the how much you need or how much will be enough is covered by a lot of factors. There are a lot of factors that are around how much you think will be enough for you to live for the whole retirement. So that one, we are going to also to use a questionnaire. In terms of retirement, we have a questionnaire that guides us on how to set up your retirement. So when we reach that stage of retirement, then that's when I'm going to send you a questionnaire, and then you answer the questionnaire, and then you see how to position your finances regarding retirement. So for tonight, we are going to pause here. So then we'll see when to visit each one of you regarding this to check your financial structure. I'll stand. She just volunteered to say, I'll go for August. And I told you, August is around the corner. So you must be prepared, because we'll visit your house as auditors. So thank you very much, guys. I don't know if there is anyone with a question. If there is no question, it means I will see you on Sunday. Okay, so it means, okay, I see our Oscar. Is it Oscar? Your mic is on, or you want to say goodbye?
No, I don't have a question. We're gonna realeboga.
Okay. Thanks a lot, say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi. Yes, Ralaboha. But I have one question.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, on the beneficiaries, what do you mean if you put minor beneficiaries? Is it to say maybe you only put minor beneficiaries and there's no one who's an adult who would sort of manage the estate on their behalf?
Yes, there must be an executor who is not a minor. So, for an example, let's say your kids are below 18. They are part of the trustees, I get it. And then you put me as an executor, as their uncle. So it's fine like that. But if you're going to take, and at the other hand, it's also the issue of a capacity. Just imagine if I put my own son, who maybe is 18, 19, to say will be the one, will be the executor of the estate. It's something else. That's why there are a lot of loopholes that you need to cover when it comes to that thing, to protect both the wealth and also your kids based on the capacity which they will be having there. Because people have never had even 1 million, now they have access to 50 million. It's something else.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, bye. We'll have a blessed evening, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank